Bombshell story hits the press. The Pentagon has been studying UFOs. Oh, gasp. Oh my God. There's something up there. Or a bar hurling through space. Of course there would be something up there. What are we? God's little, thing? Fascinating stuff started to happen. The New York Times brings this out. Other organizations, media organizations, pick this story up. Washington Post, Politico, all across the board, CNN. Oh my God, there's something flying around in our air that we don't know what it is. The UFO community in this scoffed. Of course, we've been telling you about this for the last 50 years, but it has hit mainstream at this point. The Navy comes out, and the Navy changes their protocols. These are big deals. It's not just the story hit the press. You also have videos, footage, gun camera footage, Tic Tac, Nimitz. You have pilots who were up there flying with those craft, talking to the press, saying things that we've never heard from the standpoint of our mainstream media. Luis Elizondo, the guy who was heading that program that was studying area phenomena, ATIP, comes out, starts doing a press tour. And not just doing a press tour, starts working with the organization to the Stars Academy that is supposed to study this stuff and get this stuff out, being the conduit by which information, and not just information, materials, hit mainstream. How do you ignore that? If you're the political instrument of the United States that turned a tin ear to this, how do you ignore that? If you're the media, how do you ignore that? The answer is you don't. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And as you know, this is a fascination of mine. And so I do stories on the UFO topic, especially stories that hit mainstream, because I think at that point you have a much stronger position to argue when this stuff is somewhat of a subtle thing when these guys are reporting on it. So here we are. It's being reported on. So it's not just the stuff that's hitting mainstream press. Congress, like I said, how do you ignore it? You don't. Congress is being briefed. The Navy changes their protocols. They're getting so much feedback on this. The problem is, the moment that video footage starts to hit the press, the moment that news organizations start running with this story, you have to respond to this. The media's or the Navy's response to this was to open their protocols to allow people to essentially report what they're seeing, their pilots. Pilots apparently have been seeing rubbish stuff. And it's not just the video footage, it's the pilots themselves that start giving press tours and start talking to CNN and these guys, Fox News, explaining to them the odd phenomena that they're seeing, things that are going hypersonic speeds, that have no emission, fumes that they can see. Craft doing magnificent things that will crush any human pilots that were a part of those crafts. Are these things safe? Are they going to fly into us? Are the people who are flying them, if anybody's flying them, adversaries or enemies? What are they? And from the standpoint of a military that gets somewhat skittish about our sovereignty and our borders, what are they, and are they a threat? Congress started to be briefed. Again, how do you ignore it when the stuff is hitting the press in this measure? Senators get classified briefing on UFOs, and not just senators. The president himself. Now, the thing is, the president gets briefed the moment that the president gets in office. That's the first point. Second point, Donald Trump is briefed on aliens. On UFOs. Let's hear Trump's answer to this. Now, I'm going to show a picture of Trump while this is being played because I don't want my video to be dinged by this with a strike. But this is George Stephanopoulos. Probably the greatest question that Stephanopoulos has ever asked in his life. Probably the only question of value. What about the UFOs, Trump? What's going on? The Navy has come out and changed their protocols. And by the way, do you believe that the Navy will change their protocols for nothing? And think about that question for the moment. A branch of the military that's job is to understand and ascertain what is taking place on the battlefield and what's taking place around them, because if they get it wrong, people die. This organization comes out and says, there's something here. There's something here to the point that we literally need to change the protocols by which we allow these people to give us this information, because there is indeed something here. We can't ignore it. We can't pretend it doesn't exist. Somebody, some aspect of government, intelligence service, something is trying to get this information out. George Knapp made a point that there's not just one group, there's multiple groups that's trying to leak this information out. The videos that was released to the press that the Pentagon initially said wasn't us, come to find out it was them. Those videos were legally released. There wasn't any kind of subterfuge. Those videos were legally released. Just saying. I think that's interesting. But Stephanopoulos asked the President of the United States, have you been briefed? And if so, what? Listen to Trump's answer. Trump gives an interesting answer, even though I think the answer is weird and bogus.
The whole day I had to go on this. Before we go, one of the things you have as president is the access to all the information in the world, all the mysteries out there. And I was just struck in the last couple of weeks.
Stephanopoulos, you're an idiot. The President of the United States does not have access to all the information and the secrets of the world. He's a person. He's just a man. That man didn't even know that there weren't weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. He doesn't have access to all the secrets of the world. You're overplaying it. But I get your point. Let's keep going.
Reading more and more reports of Navy pilots seeing lots and lots of UFOs. Have you been briefed on that? What do you make of it?
I have. I think it's probably... I want them to think whatever they think. They do say, I mean, I've seen and I've read and I've heard, and I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly.
Do you think you...
I don't understand that answer. I mean, there's more to it, but that answer makes zero sense. Navy pilots who are flying sophisticated machinery are saying they're seeing UFOs. Not one, two, a lot. A lot of them are saying they are seeing UFOs, some of which are talking to the press. Donald Trump, have you been briefed on this? Yes. But I don't believe in UFOs. But Donald Trump, many of your pilots have been seeing them. How can you not believe something that many of your pilots have been seeing? That's such an odd answer. But let's keep going. There's more.
Know if there were evidence of extraterrestrials?
Well, I think our great pilots would know. And some of them really see things that are a little bit different than in the past. So we're going to see. But we'll watch it. You'll be the first to know.
Donald Trump lies as easily as breathing. And this answer made zero sense. I'm sorry, it made zero sense. It's massively inconsistent. Even within that 1 minute soundbite, it is massively inconsistent. I don't believe in UFOs. I particularly don't believe in UFOs. But I think our pilots would know. Your pilots believe in UFOs, Donald, because your pilots have been seeing UFOs and your pilots have been reporting these UFOs. And one of your branches of military have been seeing UFOs to such a degree that they changed the rule set by which pilots report those UFOs, because they've been seeing those UFOs so often. So often, in fact, that they consider it somewhat of a national security issue, at which point they are pushing and having these, these briefings. This answer made zero sense. By the same token, Donald Trump answered this question in the same way that the other presidents have answered this question. Essentially, there's nothing to see here, we don't know anything about it, etc., etc., etc. I would say this to you. The fact that they've changed the protocols in and of itself is an extraordinarily big deal. Frank Cameron made the point that you weren't going to get disclosure, you were to get confirmation. Confirmation is different. Confirmation is the government essentially confirming that there's something there. And it seems like Grant Cameron is right on this point. Donald Trump was going to come out and say, yeah, they're aliens. Here's the body that we recovered from Roswell, and we've been tracking this stuff for the last 60 years. However, a branch of your military coming out saying, we are changing our protocols for this, and having these pilots coming out saying, this is what I saw, and having I guess my point is this. The last 2 or 3 years have seen a dramatic departure from the way that we, media and government, have covered this very particular issue, and maybe those things work in tandem. The very fact that the government to some degree changed their tenor on it allowed the media to change their tenor on it. When Luis Elizondo, the guy who was heading up this ATIP program, went on CNN, and she asked them, the host asked them, do you think we're being visited? She asked that question with a certain degree of hesitancy, because I think with such propaganda, or with such, propaganda with this notion of this is conspiracy theory stuff, etc., she felt uncomfortable asking this question, but at the same token, she didn't have a choice but to ask this question because of the information that was coming out. He said, based on scientific method, I've been studying this stuff at this point for years, based on my scientific expertise in studying this stuff, and based on the research that we've got in, my answer is yes. We don't believe that U.S. aircraft could have performed these feats, and these pilots are clearly seeing something that is doing things that are extraordinary, and these are pieces of technology. We decided not to ask what's in the craft, but if you're asking me if I believe that we're being visited, my answer is yes. That's astonishing. That's astonishing. That is a guy that worked within the U.S. military saying this. Now, is he being honest? Who knows? Is this craft technology that we just haven't been necessarily exposed to, but maybe our own technology? Maybe. Who knows? This is kind of in the world of black. We don't know. I would say this, though. This story or this information is being taken in a way that has never been taken before in my lifetime. And the president is being briefed and is being asked openly by the press based on all of the information that came before it. You've been briefed on UFOs? Yes. What do you think? I think our pilots know, but I don't believe. Well, O'Donnell, your pilots have been telling you, you better pay attention to your pilots. I'm going to put all of these articles below so you can see for yourself. His answer, I think, is absurd to me. But maybe you guys have a different take on this. I'm not going to keep this video long. I just thought this answer was interesting. Shout out to Jeff Kuntz, and shout out to, there was another subscriber that sent me an article dealing with the senators themselves looking at this. Why can't I find this? Why can't I find this? Why can't I find it? Why can't I find it? Come on. White men, okay? It doesn't matter if UFOs are real or not. Either way, the blacks will be stealing or stretching our women. Stretching your women, maybe? It depends on how big they are. Same with the Mueller report. Either way. That's funny and racist. And I don't do racist tweets, so I'm going to leave it. All right, I'll leave it here. Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is under political space thing. Political, if I'm not mistaken, also opened up a one on, I think they're tracking, UFO stuff. So, shout out to the subscriber that sent me the story. The one that they sent me, though, was this one. And this was under defense. Because this is technically a matter of defense. Something is invading our airspace. Our pilots are seeing things in our airspace. What are you going to do? Are you going to leave it alone? Or are you going to try to get to the bottom of what's quote-unquote invading our airspace? It becomes a intelligence issue or defense issue. In which case, you can spend money on it. Trump's answer. I suppose it is confirmation. I just don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. So that's the part that scares the shit out of me. Not knowing what it means. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. And shout out to the subscribers that sent me this. I know Jeff for one, but there was someone else who sent me the senators one. So thanks, guys. I'm just here. I'll see you momentarily.